All right. Welcome to episode number 14 of the Jake Blanchard podcast. Today, my guest is Diego Verduzco. Diego is the former guitarist from the band El Nino. He spent almost 15 years with the band, traveling around the world and rocking out. He's a businessman. He owns Artifact Tattoo and Body Piercing in Santa Clarita, California. He owns Carbon Diamond Abrasive, a diamond tool company, and then also Fellowship Brands, which is a company around men's grooming products. I'm excited to have him on the podcast today. We're going to talk about the music industry. We're going to talk about business, life, his experience, and his mindset. Diego, how you doing, man? Awesome to have you on the podcast today.
Good, Jake. Thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, for sure, man. Hey, first off, before we dive into this, got to give a shout out to Dustin Christensen. Dustin's been a friend of mine for about 15 years. He introduced me to you and the guys from El Nino maybe about a decade ago. But it's been nice to see you as you've come through town, build a little bit of a relationship here. And then again, shout out to Dustin.
Hey, Dustin.
That's awesome. Hey, listen, let's go ahead and get anchored with a few questions here. Where are you from? What got you into music? And then how'd you turn it into a 15 plus year career traveling the world and, playing some of the biggest stages out there?
Yeah, so I'm from a city called Santa Ana here in California, Southern California, Orange County to be more precise. Born and raised here, still live pretty close to Santa Ana, still pretty close to my folks. Currently, I live in a city, Orange, which is just the next city right over. And, as far as music goes, it's actually a cool story that I always like to give out every now and then. I was actually on my way to Knott's Berry Farm when I was 8 years old. Knott's Berry Farm is a theme park out here, not far from Disneyland, maybe 25 minutes from Disneyland. And I remember we were going there. My folks, we had this old Chevy van, and my dad was playing a cassette tape of Carlos Santana, the Abraxas album. And I remember Black Magic Woman playing, and I was like, "What is this?" And I 8 years old. I'm like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Oh, this is Santana." And then I was like, "What does he do?" "Oh, he plays guitar." Okay, so it just mesmerized me, and like I completely shut up, and I was just listening to the jams. And the second portion of that song is called Gypsy Queen, and it gets into this fast rhythm part, and it just blew my mind. And I was like, at the age of 8, I was like, I want to do that. It just struck such a chord inside me that music had to be a part of me. And so from that point on, it was just like, I think I burnt that tape out. I was constantly repeating it, flipping it around, pushing play. And it lasted for years, and to the point where my parents were like, "Are you going to listen to anything other than Santana?" And I was like, "Why?" Obviously, like I got older, my tastes started developing in different ways and stuff. But to this day, that's still my favorite song. And so I credit that album and Santana with putting the love of music into me, because I didn't start off as a guitar player. I started off playing like drums and stuff like that, again, because of the rhythm. And I just fell in love with music and rhythm and melody and the vibe that it created. And, you got into the interviews with Carlos Santana, and he talks about the same thing, the vibe, the melodies, the way people move when they hear certain beats. And I was like, wow, music touches people in different ways, and music means different things to so many people, but at the same time, it's a universal language that everybody understands. And I realized that from like a very early age, the importance of music in people's lives. So that's what really created that fire, which I didn't really think I'm going to be in a band one day, up until like much, much later. I was I think I was 25 when I joined El Nino, I believe. And, before that I had some local bands and stuff. But yeah, to this day, I still credit Abraxas as the reason why I got into music.
That's such a cool story, man. So you it sounds like you played a couple different instruments. You kind of landed on guitar. When did you land on guitar?
I landed on it pretty late. Everybody's like, oh, I've been playing guitar since I was 11 or something. I really was almost 18 when I started playing guitar.
Oh, really?
And started off just like most kids, just, learning classics and trying to pick things up by ear, not really being able to afford lessons too much. So it was like, let me find, somebody to teach me something and I'll just play it over and over and over again. And I remember buying a little CD book, came with a CD ROM and a booklet, and it was just like the blues scales, how to learn blues scales, because classic rock is all blues. And that's how I eventually started teaching myself, and then finding other music genres and trying to play those. And by that time, the internet was available, and I started looking up guitar tabs.
Yep.
Most of those tabs back in the day were god awfully wrong.
So bad.
Yeah, but you thought you were playing it right, and it sounded right to you in your bedroom with your headphones on. So that's really how I kind of got into guitar.
Dude, so it's amazing how those things can take us to crazy places, right? And so by 25 years old, here you are. You are, kind of in a different universe. You're playing with this rock band, traveling the world. What was that like?
I think that at that time I wanted it so bad that I decided to quit my school at the time, and I want to say, maybe 25 was older. I don't really remember exactly, but I remember quitting school to join the band.
Yeah.
Or to do music, I should say, because I told myself I'm going to give a go at the music thing, and if I can't make it, then I'll go back to school. So I gave myself a definite timeline, and it just so happened that 6 months later I landed this opportunity to join the band, and so I did. And man, being that young, traveling the world, it was totally culture shock. Going to different countries and learning all these new things, trying out these new foods, learning how to say cheers in different languages. And
where's a place that just kind of blew you away? Maybe you didn't expect.
Man, I would have to say, like, going to Russia was really outstanding. The food, the people were just superb. South America, Brazil, again, I'm a foodie, so
yeah,
it's always like the cuisine. And Brazil was definitely a place with some great food, and again, just beautiful people, very welcoming. I really can't say that I have a favorite place in the world. Those just kind of stand out. But I love traveling the world, meeting new people, trying new things, and I consider myself very fortunate to have been able to have done that.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, listen, there's probably some big rock fans that are going to be listening to this, especially if they see that you're on there. And I would be remiss if I didn't call this out. El Nino recently parted ways as a band. There's some aspects to it. I'll post a couple links below so we don't have to get into the whole story, but just maybe, anything that you could share about that, maybe about that experience or what you're taking away from it.
I'll always give that band credit for giving me my start, so if anybody ever asks, started off with El Nino, you can't change history. But just like, in business, I'm sure you understand people have disagreements, and sometimes those disagreements can't be solved, and someone has to make a decision to do something about it. And whether you're in a standard business, you decide to close the company down or sell the company, you got to make that kind of decision. So myself and two other members decided that, we weren't crazy about the situation. So, we had to take some measures, but, after all that time and the legal stuff, I'm happy to say it's been over. We've moved on, and, the future looks good. That's about all I can really share.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
When there's legal stuff involved, you got to really adhere to those things. That's the big boy land where, you're signing documents that say, hey, you're going to adhere to this. It's not just a handshake and a promise.
Yeah, no doubt, Diego. I appreciate you addressing it a little bit on the podcast for sure. In a similar vein of thinking, this podcast is about journeys through life. It's about business. It's about mindset. Lessons learned, those kinds of things. I'm sure you've probably had your fair share of experiences or insights from the music industry, from kind of a business perspective. What advice do you have for maybe some young musicians, or what lessons would you have learned from like legal, whatever? Maybe throw a few things out.
Absolutely. So most importantly, being in a band, whether you want to be, in a band that plays on the weekends and you're happy to be a great cover band or a great originals band that just kind of does the thing, you're playing at bars, you're playing, weddings, or whether or not you want to take it to the next level, most importantly is be honest with yourself. What do you plan on achieving? Where do you want to go? And if you're happy being that weekend guy that plays at bars and you're playing some just awesome covers and jamming, having a great time, that's awesome. That's a lot of fun. If you want to make that move to that next level, understand how hard it is to get there. And that's where I say, be honest with yourself. It's not enough these days that you got great music. Music is a business.
Yeah.
And your band is your brand. BRAND. That is your brand. That is your product. That is what you're presenting to the world. And you have to give the audience something that they want to buy. If it's, like I said, it's not just enough to be good music. It's got to be the total package, the look, the story, the way you present yourself. And in that, run it as a business. Okay. We all, anybody who picks up an instrument has a dream, like, I'm going to get together with my best friends. I'm going to make a band. We're going to make it. That's great. But you got to take into serious consideration the legal aspects of things. And you got to take into consideration that this is a product. This is my business.
Yeah.
So you got to learn to protect your business. You got to learn how to expand on your business. All those little things that we don't want to talk about because we just want to jam out, play our instruments, and have a good time. Well, that's what I would say for an up-and-coming musician is learn the ins and outs of business, the legal aspect, the administrative aspect. Don't just get caught out there being that guy who wants to just play the music. That's great. That's what we all want. But unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. That's how people start taking advantage of you. You guys are great. Come play at my place. Awesome. Well, you're just happy to go play at the place. Well, what are you getting paid? What are all these expenses coming out of my guarantee? Why am I paying X percent of my merchandise to you? There's things that a lot of people don't ever think about.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to excuse my ignorance, and I'm swimming a bit in the deep end, but I hear things like 360 deals, like stuff like that. Young bands kind of get a lot of pressure. One, to give away a little bit of everything, or a lot of bit of everything in some cases, and then two, like the way that we ingest music as a society, the way that we download, how it's on our fingertips, how we can find it 10 different ways, and that's the artist's creative, you should be compensated in that in some way. Maybe some perspective around, those two things.
Sure. As far as like the 360 deals, those can sometimes work in the artist's benefit. They complete their terms. Now they're actually making more money than the label thought they would. Usually a label will give them a 360 deal thinking that they're not going to recoup and they're not going to be able to make the money that they think they can. So we're going to be making the bigger paycheck all along the way. However, if a band grows beyond that point, then it actually works in their favor, where they're making more than the label. Pretty much these days, you're getting pretty standard deals through labels, and it just again, going back to the business aspect of things, you better have a really good attorney who's in your corner and is going to explain, the minutia of these contracts, explain to you why you're giving up this percentage or why you're getting this percentage. And those are like the ugly things that people don't want to talk about. Anytime a lawyer is brought into the equation, you're just like, oh, that's the most distasteful part. Attorneys, but we need them. So find a good, reputable, attorney who's going to explain to you what all these paragraphs mean. Someone who's in your corner, someone who's going to work hard for you, because of course it's a negotiation.
Yeah, and it's it sounds like that the barrier tends to be just being an active participant in that process. Like that is the inevitable ecosystem that exists in this space, and it's important to want to internally say, like, if I'm really passionate about this, if this is my path in life, I better pay attention right now. I better learn the legalese. I better learn to have these conversations, because it's going to make my playing experience that much better.
Of course. Yeah. If I can get on the plane and I can go to this country, or I can get on a bus and go to this club in this state, me knowing that I'm taken care of on the administrative side, it makes it so that I can pay more attention to my live show. I can pay more attention to being on that tour, having a good time playing, instead of worrying, man, I really don't know how much we're pulling in. Yeah. All those things that, to be 100% honest, if you don't educate yourselves in, well, you're just going out ignorantly, you're gonna get screwed over. It's just like in any other business. If you don't understand and educate yourself about the ins and outs, someone's gonna come along the way who's gonna take advantage of that situation and see you as somebody that can, pluck a little bit here and there from you.
Well, you're certainly a businessman, and I touched on that a little bit in the intro. I mean, we let's kind of cascade this conversation through. You've got 3 businesses, man. What's that like? And then how did that come about? I mean, you've got the tattoo shop, you've got the tool company, you've got the grooming products. Maybe take us through that landscape a little bit and give us the journey and what your mindset's like.
It's a lot of time researching, a lot of time reading, a lot of time watching videos, a lot of time away from my family. So as far as the tattoo studios, it almost it came out of necessity, and what's the saying? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And being in the band, I was traveling, I was playing these awesome shows, but then coming home, I had no way of making money, because most of us are making money only when we're on tour. And getting a job and them allowing you to leave and come back, I mean, that only works for so long. And I did have a job in the beginning, and they allowed me to come back a few times. Then it got to the point where, I came back from a tour, they're like, hey, we need to have discussion. You're either going to be a full-time employee, or you're going to be a full-time musician. We can't keep letting you go to come back. I totally understand that. It's not, who am I to be telling another company, well, you need to keep this job open for me because of my lifestyle choices. And, it's just, I needed a job. I needed to pay bills. I needed to be able to make an income. I was getting tired of sleeping on people's couches, and I just couldn't get a job. And every time I brought up, I'm a musician, I do have to leave. The inevitable next question, how often? And my answer is I don't know. So that's not an attractive employee. You're not giving them any kind of certainty. And so then I have a friend in Florida who at the time owned quite a few tattoo studios, and I started picking his brain. I was like, hey, what's it like? What do you got to do? He's like, it's a great industry. I totally suggest you jump into it if you can. So go out on a tattoo. At the time, I don't know what I got to do. He's like, well, you're an artist. You know artistry. He's like, so you got to learn the business side of things and, take care of your artist. And I was like, okay, cool. So I started digging in and found a tattoo studio for sale, and I bought it. naively, I just bought it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I love it. So you just, do you usually have an appetite for risk like that? Or were you just to a point where you knew something had to change? Like,
I've grown into an appetite for risk, calculated risk now that I'm older and I've learned much more. At the time, it was just like, well, I need a job and I need to learn how to do stuff. So jumping into entrepreneurship, business ownership, it was definitely trial by fire and learn quick, and it's an expensive lesson learned as you're going along, because you're making mistakes and you got to pick up the pieces quick. You got to figure it out quick. What did I do wrong? How can I fix it? How can I get better? Because your investment, your business relies on you being that person. It's not like, I'm sure a lot of people like, oh, man, I wish I could quit my job just on my own business. Oh, man, it is. I completely tell people now, like when I hear that, I say, careful what you wish for.
exactly.
Owning that business is now much more of a job than actually just working a job. Because working a job, you go on at 8 o'clock, you punch out, you go home, you don't think about work. Now you're owning this. Now it lives and dies with you. So you come home, you're still working.
Always.
You're still looking for a new supplier, like, oh, my gloves are too expensive, for example. I need to find somebody who's better, who's cheaper, but not, letting go of quality. You still have quality in mind, but you're constantly looking for something. Your job just became that much longer. You worked 8 hours a day, now you're working 12, 14, 20 hours a day. And if you don't do it, no one else can do it for you. You just spent your load on that monthly rent. And
health insurance. Yeah, good luck on that health insurance, man.
Yeah, you got to think of everything. And if you don't learn quick, you're going to lose it all. So made a ton of mistakes, burned a bunch of money, pissed off a lot of people. But, all these years later, I still have it. They always say, the first 3 years are your markers on whether or not you're going to be successful. Your first year, if you break even, that is a huge win, because most people fall in the red. Your first 3 years, okay, now you're established. And thankfully, I'm in my 11th year. Granted, this is 2020, and it's been an interesting year to say the least, but I'm still standing.
Especially having a tattoo shop in California.
The rents are expensive. The 2020 shutdown, that's been very hard. Hopefully, everything starts leveling out and we can get back to life the way we knew it before, or we need to figure out new ways to, live with what we're doing now.
Yeah. There's certainly a kind of a contrast there. I think there's so many of us that are in that position where we take what's going on. We take the sickness, the COVID pretty seriously, and like understand that there's people that are suffering as a result of it.
Absolutely.
And that we have a responsibility, as a collective to be mindful. At the same time, I think there's folks that, understand that business has to go on, or we're going to suffer some pretty serious long-term consequences as well. So, I tip my hat to you as a business owner who's got to evaluate those risks and comply with various orders and whatnot. So it must have been a kind of a frustrating 6 or 7 months, but hopefully we're on the other side of it.
I mean, I'm just one person, and I know, especially in California, like how bad it is. And I got everybody feeding me their opinions or their version of information. And I'm just like, look, what can I do? I'm obviously not going to flip the switch and everything's back to normal. People have been telling me like, F the government. They can't tell you what to do. Sure, you're right. I can go in there. I can open the doors right now. And then the health department's going to come and yank my permit, and then I can't do anything. I'm like, what good is making that short-term money when I'm going to get my way of living taken away because I decided to say, screw them. They can't tell me what to do. You're right. I don't have the time and the money to go hire attorneys to go fight this for me. It is what it is. I have to find other ways to go around this, to fix this. And I've had 11 years to figure that out. Again, this is not something that any of us ever thought would have ever happened. And, I think this is everybody's worst year of their lives at this point.
Oh, for sure. But it's such a good, lesson, be built for winter, right? I mean, winter's coming, and, as a business owner, you understand that a lot of us kind of put some money away, and, we're like, okay, we can handle a few months. Maybe that time frame, in the future will get longer instead of having like 3 or 4 months to pay everything. Maybe it's going to be like a year stashed away.
And then that can go back to my conversation about music is first and foremost, be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Am I gonna make it in music? It's such a minimal amount of people to make it in music. Well, then anybody else who's in business asks themselves that. Be honest with myself. Am I going to make it? Am I struggling to keep the lights on? Am I struggling to pay my bills? Am I struggling to, afford supplies? How long can I last before I have to just throw in the towel? And there's nothing wrong with throwing in the towel. Don't put yourself and your family at some kind of situation where you can't get out of it and you are completely screwed. Yeah. So in this circumstance, I had that discussion with myself. How long can I stand before I say, hey, I can't do this anymore. I gotta fold, lock up the doors, here's the keys. I tried. There's definitely that instance where everyone has to be honest with themselves and be like, okay, I when I had conversations with other friends who were in different industries, what are you guys doing? How are you guys getting by? And then in having a conversation with my CPA, I was like, what do I got to do? And his advice, and I completely understand it, and he said, this is basically a war of attrition. How much are you willing to go in the hole? Because the rent's stacking up. You have to pay that. You're in a contract. You're going to owe the landlord X amount of dollars if you don't anyways. Mm-hmm. How much are you willing to say, okay, I'll go into this much debt so I can do this? That's me being honest with myself, and I have that number in my mind. And I think that that's an extremely important thing for anybody going into any kind of business to do is, number one, I'm going to be honest with myself. Can I make this work? Okay, I started it. Can I keep this going? So the honesty with oneself is crucial.
Dude, what a valuable lesson you've got there. Hey, we talked about the tattoo shop. I'm super interested in the carbon diamond abrasive tools. I don't really know a lot about that industry. Would love to learn a little bit more. And then also what Fellowship brand is as well.
So Carbonated Racers is a company that actually started in Australia, and now we're bringing it here to the U.S. And business partners, again, great friends of mine. I met my friend Darren through touring, actually. He was in a band that we toured with, and him and I just instantly hit it off, became best buds, and we're like, we're going to do business together one day. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We think the same way, we're similar personalities. And man, just time kept going on. We did a couple more tours together, and then 5 years after we met, he's like, hey, it's time for us to do business together. I have this brand that I have in Australia. I'd like to bring it to the US. I was like, okay, great. What do you guys need me to do? He's like, well, I want you to be a part of the company. And I was like, what does that entail? He's like, well, I want you to be in charge of the United States version of it. I was like, whoa, awesome.
Yeah, that's rad. What a cool opportunity.
Very, very unheard of opportunity. So, we've been doing our R&D here in the States. And so carbon diamond abrasives it's a diamond tipped tool. Basically, anytime you're driving around on the freeways, you see work being done on these freeways, you see these guys pushing these giant machines down the road. There's a blade in there that's chopping up that concrete. Mm. And, if you're into cosmetic concrete, you look at the shine on the stone or the concrete and how glossy it is. And a lot of people think that's wax. A lot of the times it's actually not. It's just been grinded down with a finer and finer and finer grit that it creates this illusion of just wet. We call it wet looking cement, and a lot of people say,
So is like sanding concrete, sort of, or no? Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, your grit gets finer and finer and finer, and it makes this brilliant shine. Looks absolutely beautiful, and I had that love for it. You know, my father worked a lot of construction, and I'd go on the sites with him and help out and stuff like this. So I fell into something that I was very familiar with, and just through osmosis from working with my dad and working with other people in construction, like a lot of guys do, you know, I appreciated it, and I wanted to learn more. And as soon as I got involved with this, it was, again, trial by fire, which seems to be like a common theme in my life, is learn it quick, learn it fast, you know, be good at it immediately. And so spent a couple of years with them, just learning the biz, getting the name known here in California first. And this is going to be obviously a process of years to come, but it's a super niche industry with a lot of barriers from people getting in. And I understand those barriers are there for a reason. That they don't want anybody just coming in, throwing inferior products in the market. You know, they want people also who are knowledgeable and talk the talk, walk the walk. You know, so it's been a process a couple of years now. We're now at the point where we're about to bring a large inventory into the States. And, you know, we've had a few people here in California and other parts of the US using our stuff. It's getting great reviews. I'm very proud of it. You know, now being in it with them for a couple of years, I've learned just an immense amount of knowledge about this side of the industry. And I'm hoping that it's going to really, you know, start pitching away a little bit of the market share. You know, it's a lot of work. It's fun. I'm meeting some really great people, you know, blue collar people, you know, backbone of America. So,
hell yeah, man.
You know, I just love it. I feel like I'm amongst my people, you know. It's just, I love that blue collar attitude. I grew up in that style of mentality, you know. Hard work pays off, and I love hard work. I'm a workaholic. So, well, constantly just educating myself.
All right. So, you know, workaholic, you know, we talked tattoo shop, we talked this carbon diamond abrasives, you know, fellowship brand. I'm you know, this is something that I did not know that you were involved in. So this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
So, okay. So COVID hit. My inventory that was supposed to land for carbon was manufacturing slowdowns in Korea, and the logistics of getting my inventory here pushed up months. Also, financial. Again, be honest with myself. Can I drop this chunk of money on my inventory right now, not knowing when I'm going to reopen my other business? I had to be honest with myself. Okay, can't. Logistics are terrible right now. Okay, we're going to have to push this. And then having these conversations with my girl here at home, and I said, hey, I got to be honest with myself. A, B, and C are happening. Now COVID has hit. I have to close my doors. And I'm like, we're okay. We're good right now. I'm like, so long as we can reopen, we're good. And she's like, okay, you know, it is what it is. And she was let go from her job temporarily. She works in dental. Thankfully, she was right back into it pretty quickly after. She didn't have to be home for too long. But again, thankfully, we had that buffer that we're like, okay, we're good. We can afford our bills. Life is almost normal. But again, necessity is another invention. A friend of mine, really good friend of mine, years, always talk. He opened a barbershop, and we were talking about, you know, the what he was going to offer his clients, and we started talking about beards. I've had a beard for years. Oh, yeah. Can't remember me not having one. And we started talking. I'm like, man, you ever get that beard dandruff? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm using this product. It's helping me out, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, we're going to start offering stuff like that at the barbershop. And I don't know how we ended up into it, but we ended up talking about, like, well, we could do this, right? And he's like, well, I think so. So we just did some general research, and we're like, yeah, we can totally jump on this, and never do anything halfway.
That's right.
Everybody says, oh, if I only had a business. Oh, sure, you can have a business. You have a ton of responsibilities. And then I always relate it to one thing I heard about what Kobe Bryant said is someone asked him, why are you so good at basketball? And he said, because I'm obsessed with it. I eat it, I drink it, I sleep it, I think about basketball nonstop. That's how I became so good at it. Same thing with Michael Jordan, obsession. And we became obsessed with finding out how these beard products are made, what raw materials are good for this beard oil, this beard balm, this butter, looking into the legal parts of owning this kind of a business. Do we need FDA clearance for this? Do we need a special certification? What are the certifications from these raw materials that we're getting? We want to make sure that we're not going to give somebody some kind of a rash that we can get sued for. Oh, we could get sued. Let's start an LLC to protect us. Nonstop. So it's just obsession. And we became obsessed with this. And then my girlfriend was like, you're spending a lot of time with these potions. And I was like, I'm obsessed.
So I'm seeing in my head, I'm seeing just beakers like across the garage, just like on a table, and then you're just kind of dripping this and that. And
it is.
Reading your college rule notebook with the lines.
It is. I'm writing stuff. I'm like a spiral notebook. I don't have a pen. Oh, there's a Sharpie. I'll write with that.
Yeah.
And it became an obsessive thing in life. And COVID was hitting. And she said this to me, and I said, we're going to make a business out of this. And she's like, oh my God, now's not the right time. And I said, look, I was like, you're right. It's not the right time. But there's no such thing as the right time.
That's right.
And I was like, and unfortunately, we're in a situation where literally the whole world is going through this pandemic, and we are being crushed by it financially in California. I was like, there's going to be the people that just go about their days and they fold, and they're going to complain about why life sucks, and they're going to find something or someone to blame. I was like, and then there's going to be the people that take advantage of this time to better themselves, to get in shape, to find something new about themselves, or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to take this time that I have now to work on creating a new business. I was like, because the thing about being this entrepreneur is, I have all this experience, but like worst case scenario, everything folds and I got to go get a job. I'm like, well, it's going to be really difficult for me to fill out an application to say self-employed for 11 years. They're going to be like, why? What have you been doing? Why are you looking for a job now? I'm like, not only that, there's someone who's been going to school for 11 years and has all these, accreditations and all this stuff that's going to look much more appealing on paper, when I would really be the much more hardworking individual with all the experience that I have.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just don't stack up against someone that's got, certificates and diplomas and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I think I would look really poorly on an application.
But that pressure, man, that pressure in the back of your mind, that's what breeds the innovation. It's what breeds like, I'm going to be successful because I have to be.
Exactly. There's no way. There is no maybe. There is. You're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm completely covered in tattoos. I got long hair.
Dude, you got some serious hair, by the way.
Thank you. It's all tucked in a bun right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm not your average employee type. And then again, personally with myself, like I have no ego to say I can't go work a job. I would gladly go work a job if I have to. And if I have to one day, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll deliver groceries. I'll, bus tables, whatever I got to do to make sure my bills are paid. I'm not above anything, but I have that work ethic that I maintain and I will always maintain. And that's given to me through my parents. And so there is no failure. There is no what if. You got to do it, and you got to figure out how to do So thankfully myself and my partner Brandon in Florida, who started his venture, Machine Shop Barber Company, St. Petersburg. We're both at the same mindset. We became obsessed with it. And yeah, it was a lot of trial and error. It was a lot of late night research. And, here I am supposed to be asleep, but I'm texting Brandon at 3 a.m, 6 a.m for him. Dude, I just learned this. Check out this article, or check out this study that I found from this university. This is what this does, and blah, 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 blah. And again, those are the things that a lot of people don't understand. Like, the obsessive part of being an entrepreneur is always continuing to educate yourself to get that edge. What are all these, multi-millionaire, billionaire people doing to get ahead? It's like they all share the same thing. They're absolute workaholics. I don't care who they are. If you dislike them, like them, they're absolute workaholics. You got to constantly educate yourself.
Well, hell yeah, man. That's, dude, I'm scared to ask my next question, which is like, what's next? Because you've got a lot on your plate right now. But from a business standpoint, like where's Fellowship Brands at right now? Is this something that's available online, or where are you at in the product life cycle of this one?
So Fellowship Brand is not available at this moment.
Okay.
We will be available within the next month.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to launch pretty soon. We'll be a e-commerce site, obviously.
Okay.
Not concerned at this moment with wholesale deals and stuff like that. We're strictly e-commerce, direct to consumer. We spent a long time with our formulations, our scents, keeping in mind, what each material was advantageous for what part, whether it's softening your skin, softening your beard, keeping your beard maintained. We have some beard wash, washing beard. We have a pre-shave oil that'll be done soon. That's in the R&D aspect of everything right now. And of course, like, we're trying all these things on ourselves.
That's awesome.
As we go, I got a cold compliment from my girl. It was like, ever since you've been doing this beard oil stuff, you really smell good.
There it is. I mean, that's to keep doing it, my man.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, I ain't mad at them. A couple buddies, they got it. Elbow me. Hey, thanks a lot. My wife really likes it. You know what I mean? And I was like, I think I get what you mean, man. And
there you go.
They're very appreciative, and they're honest with me, especially to say like, that one really wasn't doing much for me. Okay, cool. On to the next one. Again, we're obsessed.
You're obsessed. You're grinding, man.
Yeah, grinding. I'd love to send you some products. You can check them out.
Oh, dude, I'd love that. Yeah, well, let's connect offline. Yeah. And once again, I'm looking forward to that e-commerce site and shouting that out, because I'm excited. And I'm not gonna lie. I've had a beard for the last 15 years. I've maybe seen my face 2 or 3 times. It's something that I need to take care of a lot more. And my wife does notice it when I am putting a little bit of oil in there, and when I am, taking pride in it. So it's an important product line, man.
Look good, feel good. I mean, we're making stuff that makes you look good and smell good. I don't know why you wouldn't want to take a part of it,
Yeah, I know it, man. So as far as what's next, like musically, or what's next for the tattoo shop, like what do you have going? And maybe shout out a couple of things as we're kind of wrapping up.
People are gonna watch this episode and think I'm just a bullshitter, because I got music coming out as well eventually.
Dude, you're a busy man. That's why I've got you on the podcast. I look for inspiring, like mentally tough, like entrepreneur type folks. And, as I was making a list and I reached out to you, like you're really inspiring to me, and kind of been watching from afar. So I don't think anybody's going to think you're bullshit. I think you're on top of it, man. So what's this music like?
Okay. So the music, myself, Christian, and Aru, we stuck together, and then recruited this guy we know named Stephen Brewer. And we're going to be filling in a few more spots. I don't want to give away too much as far as like who's all in the band. But started writing music. And, originally we started doing this when we were still going through the whole lawsuit thing. And, you know, I was like, again, preparing myself for the future. I'm like, either we're going to be El Nino or we're not. We're going to move in a different direction. So I just started writing music, shared it with a few people, contacted a few people, and everything's been lining up really, really well. And I am ecstatic and proud to say, like, the music that we've written is by far the best music I've ever written.
Nice.
And I'm really looking forward to one day, I'm not in a rush, one day release some of this music. And, you know, again, it's business. I'm doing all the behind the scenes work right now. So everything's got to line up before, you know, we release music. I would love to just put it out there, but it is a business, so I got to do things the right way. You know, protect myself. I got to make sure that we got the right people behind us. But so far, you know, the few people who have heard it are excited about it, and we're very excited about it. We've got quite a bit of material. I really believe that it's going to turn a few heads. And, you know, it's very cliche to say. Every artist says that my album's going to be the heaviest, my album's going to be the best, blah, 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 blah. This is, sure, the cliche answers to that question, but it's just truly what I believe. You know, it's going to turn some heads, and it's going to be, I don't want to say shocking, but definitely, I hope, inspiring for a lot of people.
Dude, well, I'm excited for that. You know me, I'm a huge rock music fan. I have been my entire life. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have coming out, dude. I'm hyped up, but I'll be patient. You know, I know these things take time. You're doing a little plumbing in the background, making sure things are dialed in, you know, part of the kind of aforementioned conversation we had earlier. Hey, where do folks find you? Instagram or you know, wherever you go?
Yeah, if you want to search me out on Instagram, it's R _ my name, Diego Verduzco, Diego Verduzco.
Yep.
You can also search under Carbonated Racers or Fellowship brand. Really easy to find. Just do a quick search, you'll find us.
Awesome. And I'll have links in the podcast description below. Yeah. Anything we didn't touch on that's worth highlighting before we get out of here, Diego?
Oh, like I said, man, I hope people just don't think I'm a big bullshitter. You know, there's 24 hours in the day. There's more time than you think that there is. You know, sleep faster, work harder, get shit done right. You know, I can't stress is honesty with yourself, honesty with your partner, honesty with your business partners. You know, another good thing that was told by an attorney once before was choose your business partners harsher than you choose your life partners, you know, because that's when the legal stuff is involved and tearing apart companies and shutting them down. And, you know, be honest with yourself, be honest with your partners. Good people make good business.
Hell yeah, man. Well, what a thought to end this thing on. Diego, I want to thank you again for your time. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, sharing your entrepreneurship, your passion, your music, and your journey, man. And it was definitely an honor to have you on. Maybe looking forward to having you on sometime next year as well.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.